This bold move isn't just about independence, it's about redefining what creative power looks like in the 21st century. Jungkook is no longer content being the voice that sings someone else's story. He wants to be the voice that writes it. And that transition from performer to creator, from participant to leader, marks the true birth of his legacy. When you've been at the top for so long, the scariest thing to do is to let go. For Jungkook, that meant stepping away from comfort, routine, and guaranteed success. Every major artist faces that crossroad, but few have the courage to take the uncertain path. Jungkook did. He didn't just take a risk, he shattered expectations. His move defies the logic of the industry, where stability is often prioritized over truth. Instead of playing safe, he chose to play honest. That honesty is the reason people are calling this the boldest move in music history. It's not just because of what he's doing, it's because of how he's doing it. Jungkook didn't wait for permission. He didn't need validation. He trusted his instincts and walked into a space where most artists are too afraid to go alone. He's not trying to prove he can survive without the structure that built him. He's proving that his artistry can thrive without it. And that's the difference between bravery and history-making courage. By taking control, Jungkook isn't just protecting his voice, he's rewriting the playbook for every artist who's ever felt limited by their own success. His move tells the world that you can break free even when you're already winning. You can start over even when everyone else calls you established. You can demand evolution even when the world tells you you've peaked. What makes Jungkook's decision even more powerful is that it's not impulsive. It's intentional. Every step he's taken since debut shows a pattern of patience, reflection, and quiet revolution. He's never been one to chase attention recklessly. Instead, he lets his work speak for him. Now, that same approach has guided him into a new era, one where he's fully in control of his sound, his image, and his story. This new chapter of Jungkook's career represents something deeper than a rebrand. It's a statement about ownership, artistic, emotional, and human. It's him saying, "I know who I am, and I no longer need anyone to define it for me." That's not arrogance, it's clarity. And that clarity has been earned through years of discipline, self-discovery, and silent battles the public will never fully see. In the history of pop culture, few transitions have been this clean, this purposeful, and this daring. Jungkook isn't just trying to reinvent himself, he's attempting to redefine what it means to be an artist, in an age where fame often outweighs substance. He's not chasing trends, he's creating one. He's not following the market, he's leading it. Every move, from his musical direction to his creative choices, carries a sense of authorship. This isn't a team-driven evolution. This is personal evolution. That's why it feels different. That's why it feels historic. Freedom isn't easy to carry. It's heavy, unpredictable, and lonely at times. But it's also real, and that's what Jungkook has chosen. For years, he gave the world perfection. Now, he's giving it truth. That truth might not always be glossy, but it's powerful because it's his. When he sings now, you hear not just his voice, but his decisions, his control, and his defiance. This emotional shift is what separates this move from any other artist's career change. Jungkook's decision isn't about ambition, it's about liberation. It's about finally creating, without filters, without expectations, without fear. That's why this moment resonates so deeply with fans and even with other artists. It's not just inspiring, it's transformative. You can sense the freedom in his performances. The difference isn't in the choreography or production, it's in the energy. He looks unafraid, he sounds unrestrained, and when he stands on stage now, it doesn't feel like he's performing for approval. It feels like he's performing for himself, for the first time in his life. When people talk about legacy, they often think of awards, sales, and records. But Jungkook is proving that legacy is built from risk. He could have continued doing what worked, repeating the same formula, and maintaining an unshakable empire. But that's not how history remembers legends. Legends are remembered for the moments they dared to change the rules. Jungkook's boldest move might not please everyone, but it doesn't have to. It only has to be true, and truth is what makes it timeless. Years from now, when new artists talk about freedom, authenticity, and independence, they'll point to this moment as the spark. Because, in a world that rewards predictability, Jungkook chose unpredictability. And that choice is what separates stars from pioneers. The music industry thrives on replication, find what works, and repeat it. Jungkook's decision rejects that entirely. He's no longer part of the system that creates stars. He's now the blueprint for something entirely new. That's why it feels historic. Because for once, the boldest move wasn't about marketing, it was about meaning. What Jungkook did doesn't just affect his own trajectory, it challenges the entire ecosystem of global pop. Every label executive, every artist, and every creative watching him now has to ask themselves, do I own my art, or does my art own me? His move forces a conversation that the industry has avoided for years. It puts power back into the hands of the creator, not the corporation. And that shift, coming from one of the world's most influential artists, has seismic implications. Fans are witnessing more than a new era in Jungkook's career, they're witnessing a cultural correction. The industry has always tried to define him through metrics, but now those metrics mean nothing. His value no longer depends on charts or awards. It depends on integrity. And that redefinition of value is what makes this moment not just bold, but paradigm-shifting. There's something almost poetic about this chapter of Jungkook's story. It's not about escaping something, it's about arriving somewhere. He's stepping into the kind of power that can't be given, it can only be taken. His next project, his next song, his next statement, they all carry a sense of anticipation that no marketing plan could ever manufacture. Because now, every move he makes feels like a message. And that's what happens when an artist stops performing and starts speaking. Jungkook's boldest move isn't defined by a headline, it's defined by the courage it took to act on a truth he's probably known for years. That greatness means nothing without freedom. By following that truth, he's done something few have ever dared. He's redefined success on his own terms. History will remember this moment not as a risk, but as a rebirth. Jungkook didn't just make the boldest move in music history, he made the truest one. And in doing so, he didn't just change his story, he changed the meaning of what it means to be an artist in the modern world. What makes this even more extraordinary is how gracefully he's doing it. There's no bitterness, no confrontation, no dramatic public statement. He doesn't need to explain himself. The art will do that for him. That quiet confidence is what makes his independence feel not like rebellion, but evolution. Jungkook's decision carries enormous risk, but risk has always been part of greatness. Every artist who's ever changed the course of history has had to face uncertainty. The difference is that most of them took that risk when they had nothing to lose. Jungkook is taking it at the height of everything, and that's what makes it historic. He's proving that real power isn't measured by what you have, but by what you're willing to walk away from. For Jungkook, that means releasing control from others so he can finally hold it himself. That kind of power doesn't come from fame, it comes from self-respect. When you look at the global music landscape, few artists have dared to take such a step while standing on top. Many stay silent because the system benefits them. Jungkook, on the other hand, is using his position not to protect his comfort, but to challenge the system that made him. That's not just bold, that's visionary. Because it's not just about him, it's about what comes after him. His move opens a door that other artists can now walk through. And perhaps that's the real reason this move feels so powerful. It's not just a personal decision. It's a declaration of creative independence for an entire generation of musicians. What people often forget is that behind the perfection, behind the choreography and global recognition, Jungkook is human. He feels the pressure, the expectations, the exhaustion that comes with being seen as the face of a global phenomenon. Yet even in that space of immense responsibility, he's found a way to honor his humanity instead of suppressing it. That's why this moment feels emotional, not because it's dramatic, but because it's sincere. He's no longer hiding behind the image that made him famous. He's standing fully as himself, flaws and all, and inviting the world to see him as an artist, not an idol. This decision is also a form of self-preservation. Fame can be suffocating, and success can become a prison when it leaves no room for growth. Jungkook's move is a reminder that no matter how bright the spotlight, the heart of an artist still beats for creation, not consumption. By reclaiming control of his art, he's reclaiming control of his life. It takes unimaginable strength to do that, to look at everything you've built and decide that your soul matters more than your image. But that's exactly what he's done, and that's why his move doesn't just feel bold, it feels sacred. When Jungkook released his first project under this new direction, listeners could immediately hear the difference. The sound wasn't just new, it was liberated. There was no trace of constraint, no sense of compromise. You could hear his fingerprint in every melody, every lyric, every breath. It wasn't about impressing anyone, it was about expressing everything. This new sound carries emotion that doesn't seek validation, it seeks connection. It's music that breathes, it feels alive. And for the first time in a long time, Jungkook's music doesn't sound like it was made for the world, it sounds like it was made from his world. Artists spend their whole lives searching for that kind of alignment, the moment when their art finally mirrors their truth. Jungkook has found it. And the beauty of it is that his fans, who followed him through every stage, can feel it too. They're not just witnessing evolution, they're part of it. Jungkook's decision will echo across the industry for years. Young artists will study this moment, not as gossip or drama, but as a case study in courage. They'll see how someone at the peak of global fame dared to prioritize art over algorithms, integrity over influence. It's already changing the conversation around creative freedom. Labels are rethinking how they structure contracts. Producers are reimagining collaboration. Even other global icons are watching closely, because when Jungkook moves, the world listens. But more importantly, his move is reigniting the emotional bond between artist and audience. In an era where authenticity often feels manufactured, Jungkook's raw sincerity feels like a revolution. His fans aren't just supporting a musician anymore, they're supporting a movement. And that's the irony of it all. By walking alone, he's managed to bring millions closer to him than ever before. Legacy is not built by comfort, it's built by conviction. And Jungkook's conviction is what makes this moment eternal. Years from now, people won't just remember the awards, the records, or the viral performances. They'll remember the day Jungkook decided to trust himself more than the world. That's what legends are made of, not perfection, but principle. He's not just writing his own legacy, he's redefining what legacy means for every artist who comes after him. Because of this move, the next generation won't just aim to be popular, they'll aim to be free. They'll aim to create music that tells the truth, instead of music that just sells. Jungkook's name will be remembered not just as a global superstar, but as the artist who restored faith in the power of individuality. After any bold decision comes silence, the kind that feels both terrifying and peaceful. Jungkook has entered that silence now. But it's not the silence of uncertainty, it's the silence of creation. It's the sound of an artist finally working without boundaries, without deadlines, without filters. That's where real art is born. He's not in a rush to prove anything. He doesn't need to. He's already made history. Every new note he records, every performance he delivers, will carry the weight of that freedom. You can sense it. The calm confidence of a man who no longer needs validation to know his worth.